Did you realize that almost 2/3 of businesses do not have a supply chain strategy in place in their business? By that I mean it's not in someone's head, but it's actually a simple documented strategy. Hi, this is Rob O'Byrne from Logistics Bureau, and I've been helping people develop strategies for over 20 years, and I do a lot of customer surveys, and that number keeps coming up. In fact, the number is 61% that don't have a simple supply chain strategy in place. That's appalling. Why is it that people don't do that? They think it's too hard, they think it's going to take too much time. It's actually really simple, and if you want to know how to do it, I'll share some resources with you. If you're watching this on LinkedIn or Facebook, there'll be a link above. If you're watching this on our blog, there'll be some links below. So let me just share with you one of the most important things to begin with. First of all, I guess we ought to say, why is it important to have a strategy? I was talking to a group of people at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and I likened it to a football team getting out on the field without really a plan on how they're going to win the game. You know, they're all really enthusiastic, they're full of energy, they go onto the field and, you know, they're kind of saying, well, hey, you can play number 8, I'll play scrum half, can I be the winger? You know, the roles and the objectives and so on are just not clear, and they're not going to win the game. It's the same in business, it's the same in supply chain. You've got to have a plan. So how do we put together a simple supply chain strategy, simple supply chain plan? First of all, have a look at the business goals. Get your hands on the business strategy. Most businesses have a bit of business strategy. I mean, that could be another topic, as a few don't. But have a look at the business strategy. What is the business trying to achieve? Is it about market share? Is it about penetrating new markets? Is it about having the best prices in the market? And your job as a supply chain professional then is to digest that and translate that then into some supply chain language. And by that I mean, take those business goals and see if you can identify the things that the supply chain has to achieve to help the business deliver those goals, because the supply chain is there to help the business deliver the goals. So your job as a supply chain professional is to make sure that you're focused on the right goals. Now, one of the areas where people can go wrong on this is they end up with too many goals. I was working with a client a couple of months ago, and they were very proud to share their supply chain strategy with me, and I think there was 14 goals on it. The other thing is, I always say to people, try to get your strategy on a page. Why on a page? Well, so that you're focused and it's simple and it's not too complicated and it's easy for people to understand. So this one was on a page, but it was an A3 page and it was like in size 9 font. And they had something like, 14 goals. It was just confusing. As a staff member working in that supply chain, I would have struggled to continually prioritize and reassess where I was going and what goals I was trying to follow. So I always say keep it to 3. Sometimes 4, and I'll explain why. So when you're developing your supply chain strategy, think about what's really important for you to do to deliver to the business, a great supply chain outcome. And it's generally, I'll give you a hand up here, it's generally 3 objectives. 1 should be around cost, 1 should be around service, 1 is very often around product quality. So it might be, the service one might be, in stock 100% of the time, or, never more than 2 days delivery, whatever it might be. The cost one might be, we'll always have the cheapest prices, or, greatest value, or something like that. And then there's one around product quality. Where I'm working with clients helping them do this, we sometimes come up with a 4th one. And this can be industry specific. So if you're working in heavy industry and mining, something like that, a 4th one's usually going to be around safety, because that's got to be right up there as one of the top objectives. So see if you can come up with 3 clear objectives for your supply chain. And the difficult bit of this, it's the wordsmithing it, because you want to try and get them down to as few words as possible, maybe 2, 3, 4 words, which are really meaningful to everybody from the CEO all the way down, to people picking product in the warehouse. I always say to people, imagine this on a big poster in the warehouse. You look at it and you go, yeah, I get it. Everybody's got to be able to look at that poster and just get it, what it's all about, what we're trying to achieve, and what that means to me. And that way you encourage the right behaviors and you get everyone on the team heading in the same direction. So 3 clear objectives, maybe a 4th. Once you knock that off, then you can start to look at the enabling tasks that are important to help you achieve those objectives, and the KPIs that are going to help you manage whether you're achieving those objectives. But that's for another time. For now, if you don't have a strategy, get those 3 objectives. One last tip, when I'm working with clients on doing this, I always want to get lots of input from senior executives as to what they want from the supply chain. So supply chain strategy shouldn't actually be developed in the supply chain bunker somewhere in isolation. I always like to get around and talk to the CFO and people running HR and IT and sales and marketing and say, what do you want the supply chain to deliver? What is it not delivering for you right now? And then go back in the supply chain bunker and develop those 3 objectives. So if you haven't got a strategy, you've got no excuse. Get on and at least come up with 3 objectives. If you have a strategy or you're struggling in how to get a strategy, by all means comment below, and I'm sure I've got more resources and tips to give you.